Marcus Chin pushed his cleaning cart down the gleaming corridor of the Celestial Archive, his footsteps echoing in the empty hallway. It was 3 in the morning, station time, and the researchers had finally gone to their quarters. This was when Marcus did his best work. In the silence, in the shadows, invisible to the brilliant minds that filled this place during the day. He had been working here for 2 years now, and most of the alien scientists still didn't know his name. To them, he was just the human janitor, the one who emptied their waste bins and polished their floors. They would walk past him without a glance, deep in conversations about quantum mechanics and ancient civilizations. Marcus didn't mind. He preferred it this way. The archive was massive, a station the size of a small moon, orbiting a neutron star that painted everything in shades of blue and white. It housed artifacts and knowledge from across the galaxy, collected over thousands of years. Hundreds of species sent their best scholars here. The Valkyrie with their 4 arms and crystalline eyes. The insectoid Nethril who clicked and chittered in complex patterns. The floating Eryx who existed partially in other dimensions. And then there was Marcus, the only human on the night maintenance crew. Nobody knew that Marcus held a doctorate in xenoarchaeology from Earth's most prestigious university. Nobody knew he had served in the Terran Colonial Marines, or that he had once been offered a research position at this very station. That was a different life before the accident, before he lost his daughter. Now he cleaned floors and found a strange peace in the simple, repetitive work. Tonight, his assignment was Section 7 Alpha, the Forbidden Vault. It was a pretentious name for what was essentially a warehouse of artifacts too dangerous or too mysterious to display publicly. Marcus had cleaned it dozens of times before. He keyed in his access code, and the heavy doors slid open with a hiss. The vault was enormous, filled with rows of sealed containers and suspended platforms holding objects behind shimmering force fields. Marcus began his routine, sweeping the polished stone floor with his industrial broom. Dust and debris had a way of accumulating even in the most controlled environments. He was halfway through the main floor when he noticed something odd. His cleaning solution, a simple mixture he used on the stone tiles, was bubbling strangely near one of the larger displays. Marcus stopped and looked up. Above him, suspended in a crystalline case, were 3 large stones each the size of his head. They were dark gray, covered in intricate carvings that seemed to shift when you weren't looking directly at them. The Keshri's sacred stones. Marcus had read about them in the station database during his breaks. 10,000 years old, recovered from a dead world on the galactic rim. Dozens of species had studied them, tested them, tried to unlock their secrets. Nothing had ever worked. They were just old rocks with pretty patterns, most scientists agreed, though a few still believed the ancient legends about them being keys to some kind of treasure. Marcus swept his broom closer to clean up the bubbling solution. The moment the broom passed under the display case, the stones began to glow. It was faint at first, just a soft pulse of amber light from deep within each stone. Marcus froze, staring up at them. The light grew stronger, pulsing in rhythm like a heartbeat. He stepped back quickly. The glow faded. He stepped forward with his broom. The glow returned, brighter this time. "What the hell?" Marcus whispered. He stood there for a long moment, broom in hand, watching ancient stones that hadn't responded to anything in 10 millennia suddenly light up like birthday candles. His mind raced through possibilities. Equipment malfunction? Some chemical reaction with his cleaning solution? Or something else entirely? Marcus pulled out his station tablet and filed a maintenance report, noting the anomaly. Someone would check it in the morning. He finished cleaning the vault, but the stones continued their soft pulsing glow whenever he came near. When he finally left and the doors sealed behind him, he could have sworn he felt them calling to him. Morning came, and Marcus was already home in his small quarters when the messages started flooding his tablet. 12 missed calls. 47 urgent messages. He rubbed his tired eyes and played the first one. "Mr. Chin, this is Senior Researcher Veldar. We need you to return to the station immediately. There has been a development with the Keshri stones." Marcus dressed quickly and took the transit pod back to the archive. When he arrived at Section 7 Alpha, he found the entire vault crowded with scientists. Veldar, a tall insectoid being with green compound eyes, spotted him immediately. "There you are. Come quickly." Veldar's mandibles clicked excitedly. "We have been testing the stones all morning. Nothing works. But your report said they glowed for you." Marcus nodded, feeling uncomfortable with all the attention. "Yeah, when I was cleaning near them." "Show us," demanded a red-scaled reptilian scientist named Dr. Isara. Her voice was gentler than the others, but her golden eyes were intense with curiosity. Marcus picked up a broom from his cart and walked toward the display case. The moment he got within 3 meters, the stones began to glow. The amber light pulsed stronger and stronger, filling the entire vault with warm radiance. Every scientist in the room gasped. "Impossible," Velder whispered. "We have tested these stones with every species, every energy source, every method known to science." A large, armor-plated alien pushed forward. Commander ZYX of the Kroller Empire, Marcus recognized him from station briefings. "Let me try," ZYX growled. He approached the stones with heavy steps. Nothing happened. The glow faded as Marcus stepped back. For the next 3 hours they ran tests. Every scientist tried to approach the stones. Nothing. When Marcus came near, even without the broom, the stones sang with light. They measured his brain waves, his genetic markers, his electromagnetic field. They found nothing unusual, at least nothing that would explain this. "The prophecy," Dr. Isara said suddenly, pulling up ancient texts on her holographic display. "The Keshri legends speak of a chosen one. Someone who would unlock the inheritance, their greatest treasures and knowledge." "Ridiculous," Commander ZYX spat. "A human? A janitor?" The Keshri were the greatest civilization in galactic history. They would not choose some primitive cleaning man. Marcus felt his jaw tighten, but he said nothing. He had learned long ago that some beings would always see humans as lesser. Earth was young compared to most galactic civilizations. Humanity had only joined the interstellar community 3 generations ago. Over the next week, Marcus became a prisoner of curiosity. Scientists studied him constantly. The Galactic Council sent representatives from 47 different species. Everyone wanted to understand why the stones responded to him. News spread across the galaxy. Some called him blessed. Others called it a mistake or a trick. Commander ZYX grew more aggressive in his demands. "The Keshri inheritance belongs to all species, not one human. We must extract whatever activation key exists in his biology." "Absolutely not," Dr. Isara stood firm. "He is a person, not a laboratory specimen." Velder had become surprisingly friendly to Marcus during this time. One evening, as they sat in the station's observation deck watching the neutron star spin, the insectoid spoke quietly. "I owe you an apology, Marcus Chin. I walked past you hundreds of times and never saw you. Never thought to wonder who you were beyond your job. That was wrong of me." Marcus smiled slightly. "Most people don't see janitors. We're furniture that occasionally moves. Perhaps that is why the stones chose you," Velder mused. "The Keshri texts say their trials test the soul, not the status." That night, Marcus stood alone in the vault, staring at the glowing stones. Dr. Isara had discovered something in the ancient carvings. 3 trials. 3 tests that the chosen must pass. The first would begin at dawn. Marcus thought about refusing, about demanding to return to his simple life. But deep down, some part of him that had been sleeping for years was waking up. The part that once explored alien ruins and solved ancient puzzles. The stones pulsed brighter as if they could read his thoughts. Tomorrow everything would change. The first trial began without warning. Marcus was standing in the vault when the stones suddenly blazed with blinding light. The world twisted around him, and he felt himself falling through space that wasn't space. When his feet touched solid ground again, he was somewhere else entirely. He stood in a massive chamber with walls that seemed to be made of liquid starlight. In the center was a structure that hurt his eyes to look at directly. It was a puzzle, but unlike anything he had ever seen. Pieces floated in mid-air, constantly shifting and changing shape. Symbols appeared and disappeared. Colors that didn't exist in normal space flickered across surfaces. A voice echoed around him, speaking in a language he shouldn't understand but somehow did. "Bring order to chaos. Find the pattern. You have 1 hour." Marcus walked slowly around the puzzle, studying it from every angle. He could hear faint sounds from somewhere, like whispers just beyond hearing. He realized he wasn't alone. Through shimmering barriers, he could see other beings attempting their own versions of the trial. A Velkari scientist with advanced scanning equipment. A Kroller warrior trying to force pieces into place. A telepathic Erix attempting to commune with the structure itself. They were all failing. Marcus sat down on the floor and simply watched. This was something he had learned in his years as a janitor. Sometimes the best way to solve a problem was to stop trying so hard and just observe. He watched the pieces float and shift. Watched the patterns emerge and dissolve. Then he saw it. The puzzle wasn't random at all. It was reacting to stress and pressure. The more force someone applied, the more chaotic it became. The harder someone thought at it, the more complex it grew. It was designed to defeat traditional problem solving. Marcus stood up and did something that probably looked insane to anyone watching. He started humming an old Earth song his daughter used to love. He relaxed his mind and gently, almost playfully, touched one floating piece. Instead of trying to place it, he just let it drift where it wanted to go. The piece clicked into place. Marcus continued, staying calm, not forcing anything. He treated it like sweeping a floor, finding the natural flow, working with the space instead of against it. Piece after piece found its home. The other contestants stopped their struggles to watch in amazement. When the final piece settled, the entire chamber filled with golden light. Marcus was back in the vault, gasping for breath. Veldar and Dr. Isara rushed to his side. "You did it." Veldar's mandibles clicked rapidly. "The others are still trapped in the trial. How did you succeed?" "I stopped fighting it," Marcus said simply. Over the next few days, the other contestants eventually emerged, exhausted and defeated. Commander ZYX looked at Marcus with undisguised hatred. The Valkyrie scientist was baffled. They had all used advanced technology, superior intelligence, and sophisticated strategies. A human janitor had beaten them by humming and being gentle. Dr. Isara pulled Marcus aside one evening. "I have been researching your species. Earth is classified as a Class 7 death world. Only 3 other known planets in the galaxy have such harsh conditions." "What does that mean?" Marcus asked. "It means humans evolved under constant threat. Extreme weather, dangerous predators, diseases, natural disasters. Your people had to become adaptable to survive. While my species evolved on a peaceful world with stable conditions, yours had to learn to solve problems with limited resources under terrible pressure." She pulled up a holographic image. The Keshri homeworld was also a Class 7 death world. Your species and theirs share something rare in the galaxy. Resilience born from struggle. The ability to adapt and overcome. Marcus looked at his hands, the hands of a janitor, a father, a former soldier and scientist. "So that's why the stones chose me?" "Perhaps," Dr. Isara said. "The second trial begins tomorrow. It will take us to the Keshri homeworld itself. I hope your human adaptability is ready, Marcus Chin. From what I have learned, that planet makes Earth look comfortable." The expedition to the Keshri homeworld was supposed to include 12 scientists and a security team. But Commander ZYX insisted on bringing 50 crawler soldiers. Marcus didn't like it, but the Galactic Council had approved. Politics, Dr. Isara had whispered to him, always politics. The planet was worse than Marcus had imagined. Gravity was twice Earth's standard. The atmosphere was breathable but felt like breathing through wet cloth. Storms raged across crimson skies, and the ground itself seemed angry, cracked and volatile. The alien scientists struggled immediately, their environmental suits working overtime to keep them alive. Marcus felt the weight, felt the burn in his lungs, but he could move. Earth's heavy gravity had prepared him better than he realized. He led the way through ancient ruins toward a massive temple that the stones were pulling him toward. Inside the temple, the second trial activated. Pathways began collapsing. Ancient defense systems came online, filling corridors with energy barriers and shifting walls. The team had to move fast or be crushed. Marcus used his old military training, reading the architecture, finding the safe paths. He pulled Veldar out of the way of falling debris. He guided Dr. Isara through a maze of energy fields that would have killed her. They reached the temple's heart, a chamber with a single pedestal. Marcus placed his hand on it, and knowledge flooded into his mind. Coordinates, star charts, locations of other Keshri sites. The trial was complete. But when they returned to the entrance, they found the crawler soldiers pointing weapons at the scientists. Commander ZYX stepped forward, his armor gleaming in the dim light. "Thank you, Mr. Chin, for opening the way. Now you will open the Keshri Inheritance Vault, and my empire will claim the greatest weapons in galactic history." "This is treason," Dr. Isara hissed. "This is destiny," ZYX replied. "The Crawler Empire will use Keshri technology to bring order to the galaxy. No more councils, no more endless debates. Just strength and purpose." Marcus's mind raced. There were too many soldiers. Even if he tried to fight, the scientists would die. He raised his hands slowly. "Okay, I'll do what you want. Just don't hurt anyone." They were transported back to the archive station. But during the flight, Marcus noticed something. The crawler guards were watching him constantly but ignoring the air vents, the maintenance panels, all the invisible infrastructure of the ship. They only saw the obvious. Back at the station, ZYX locked down Section 7 Alpha and most of the research areas. He held the scientists hostage while his soldiers secured the facility. But he made a mistake. He put Marcus in a storage room, assuming a janitor knew nothing about security or tactics. Marcus waited until the guard rotation changed. He knew the exact timing because he had cleaned these halls for 2 years. He slipped out through a maintenance hatch that didn't appear on official schematics. Within an hour, he had found Veldar and Dr. Isara locked in a laboratory. "How did you escape?" Veldar whispered as Marcus disabled the lock with a bypass code only maintenance staff knew. "They don't see the invisible parts of this station," Marcus said. "The crawl spaces, the service tunnels, the backup systems. I've been cleaning them for 2 years. I know every hidden corner." They freed other scientists and station workers. Cooks, technicians, other janitors, security staff who had been disarmed. Marcus taught them guerrilla tactics using his marine training. They sabotaged power systems, created diversions, used improvised weapons from cleaning chemicals and maintenance tools. The crawler soldiers had superior weapons and training, but they were fighting on Marcus's territory now. Every dark corridor became a trap. Every sealed door became an obstacle. The invisible workers of the station became ghosts, striking and vanishing. Commander ZYX grew furious. "Find him. Find the human." But Marcus was already 3 steps ahead, leading his unlikely resistance through the veins and arteries of the station he knew better than anyone. Somewhere deep in the vault, the sacred stones began to pulse again. The final trial was calling. The stones activated on their own, creating a swirling portal of light in the center of the vault. Marcus knew he had no choice. If Commander ZYX got his hands on the Keshri inheritance, countless worlds would suffer. He had to reach it first. "I'm going with you," Dr. Isara said firmly. "You saved my life twice. Let me help you now." Veldar nodded. "I will hold the resistance here. Go, my friend. Finish what you started." Marcus and Dr. Isara stepped through the portal. They emerged in a city that existed nowhere and everywhere at once. Buildings floated in space without ground beneath them. Stars burned in colors that shouldn't exist. The air itself seemed alive with whispers of ancient voices. In the center of it all stood a simple door. Marcus approached it slowly. The door opened before he could touch it. Inside was a small room with nothing but a chair and a mirror. He sat down, and the mirror showed him not his reflection but his memories. His daughter laughing. His wife before the accident. His years of running from pain into the simple comfort of cleaning floors. A voice spoke, gentle and everywhere at once. "What would you do with ultimate power?" Marcus thought carefully. He had seen what power did to people like Commander ZYX. He had watched brilliant scientists become consumed by their desire for recognition. He had lived long enough to know that the greatest strength was often in knowing when not to act. "I would choose not to use it," Marcus said quietly. "Power corrupts. The moment you believe you deserve to control others, you've already lost yourself." The Keshri knew this, didn't they? That's why they left. The room filled with light. Figures appeared around him, beings made of pure energy. The Keshri or what they had become. "You understand?" the voice said. "We did not die. We transcended. But we left our knowledge behind as a test. So many species seek our weapons, our tools of domination. But those who desire power should never have it." "Then why give me anything?" Marcus asked. "Because you asked for nothing. You cleaned floors and found peace in simplicity. You saved lives without seeking glory. You are worthy not because you are special, but because you chose to be humble." The Keshri showed him the truth. Their inheritance was not weapons but understanding. Knowledge of energy, of matter, of how to heal worlds instead of destroying them. Technologies that could feed billions, cure diseases, restore dead planets. But in the wrong hands, even healing tools could become weapons. "Take what you need," the Keshri said. "Share it freely. Trust others to choose wisely as you have." Marcus felt knowledge flowing into his mind, not all of it but enough. Enough to help, not enough to conquer. He understood now. The test was never about being the strongest or the smartest. It was about being wise enough to know that no one person should hold all the answers. He returned through the portal with Dr. Isara. They emerged in the vault to find the resistance had won. Commander ZYX was in restraints, his soldiers surrendered. Veldar rushed forward, mandibles clicking with relief. Marcus shared what he had learned with everyone. Not secrets locked away but knowledge given freely to all species. The Galactic Council offered him wealth, titles, a permanent seat of honor. He refused it all. 6 months later, Marcus was back pushing his cleaning cart through the archive corridors. But things were different now. Scientists greeted him by name. They asked his opinions. They saw him. Dr. Isara visited every week. She and Marcus had become close friends, spending hours talking about everything and nothing. Veldar had started a program teaching scholars to learn from ordinary workers, from the janitors and cooks and engineers who kept the station running. The sacred stones sat in a museum now, their glow faded. Their purpose was complete. But sometimes when Marcus walked past them during his rounds, they would pulse softly just once like an old friend saying hello. Marcus smiled and continued sweeping. He had saved the galaxy by being exactly who he was. Sometimes the greatest heroes were the ones nobody noticed until it mattered most.